Right, 25 June 2020, and today I want to give you an update on what is happening in the MDC. The MDC Alliance of Nelson Chamisa has said that they've now found the constitution that was missing and they've submitted it before the High Court in Zimbabwe. As you know, there is a number of court cases before the High Court, and these court cases are confusing everything for the Thokozani Kupe faction. The Nelson Chamisa faction is making it very, very difficult for the Thokozani Kupe faction to do anything. As we speak, the Thokozani Kupe faction is basically paralyzed. They are not able to move forward with their programs. In fact, the situation is such that there is uncertainty on what is going to happen next. So the Thokozani Kupe faction, as you can see, they are sitting back, especially Thokozani Kupe herself. She is not appearing very much in public. She has been letting people like Douglas Monzora, Elias Nzuri, and Morgan Komichi do most of the talking. She has only done one press conference since they took over. And the issue is that there is no clarity on how to implement the Supreme Court ruling. It's a very sad situation. So let me show you what is happening. So as I said, firstly, one of the people who is speaking for the MDC Alliance, that is Jameson Timber, yesterday came out speaking to Blessed Mhlanga of Daily News, and he said that they have now taken the constitution of the MDC. You remember the last court case, the MDC was said not to be a legal persona because they did not have a constitution. Now they've taken that constitution, which means their case can now be heard. If they wanted to interdict the MDC-T of Thokozani Kupe, then they could easily do it now if they've presented that document. This will make it very, very difficult for Thokozani Kupe to do much. They've also said they are going to be using the public objection process to stop Thokozani Kupe from replacing the recalled MPs, because according to the process at ZEC, they have to publish a notice. That is a notice, I think a gazette. They have to gazette that they are going to replace these MPs. And there is a process that requires the public to object, and ZEC has to respond to each and every objection. This makes it very difficult for Thokozani Kupe to replace the recalled MPs, although Thokozani Kupe has recalled 14, in fact it's 13 MPs. So initially she recalled 4, and this week she recalled 9. Although she has recalled those 13, it's going to be very difficult to replace them, which makes it a game of blocking each other. So the two parties are in a stalemate, and nothing is going to work on both sides. So on the Thokozani Kupe side, nothing is happening. On the Nelson Chamisa side, nothing is happening. Everybody loses. So now let's look at the court cases. The court cases that are there, I think there are about 6 court cases which have been brought by Nelson Chamisa's side against the Thokozani Kupe side. So firstly, Harvest House occupation. Who is supposed to be in Harvest House? The Nelson Chamisa side says they've got a 20-year lease, and the Thokozani Kupe side said, how did we, MDCT, get out of our old lease? So there's a court case there regarding this issue. Who owns Harvest House? No one has produced the documents as yet. Douglas Monzora says he's got the documents that shows who owns Harvest House, whereas the Nelson Chamisa side say they've got the 20-year lease and the Harvest House is owned by trustees. That is the first case. Then replacement of MPs, I just described. There is a case where Nelson Chamisa side is saying you cannot replace our MPs that you recalled because you're not supposed to recall them in the first place. There's the Tabitha Kumalo, Lillian Timvia's case. I think this case is still ongoing, where Tabitha Kumalo and Lillian Timvias said you cannot replace us. Then there's also another court case on the recall of the MPs. You can't recall our MPs. which is the initial case, the initial interdict case. There's a by-election of recalled MPs case. So the first one is to do with MPs that are in the proportional representation. And then there's another case on the by-elections. This one was filed yesterday, I think, which says you cannot have by-elections where you have recalled MPs. That is another court case. There's a disbursement of funds to MDCT court case, which says you cannot put any funds that was supposed to come from Parliament to go to MDCT because MDCT does not have MPs in Parliament. In this case, I think it was, they were granted the interdict. I do not know what is going to happen with all these cases. You can see that there's a lot of court cases that have been brought by the Nelson Chamisa side against the Thokozani Kupe side. And all these, they center around MPs. If an MP went into Parliament as MDC Alliance, how do they turn to become MDCT? Does the law recognize a pact, a pre-election pact, or they only recognize the name of the person who went into Parliament? If they're MDC Alliance, can they then change into MDCT? Very important question. I've said this before. This is not going to end well for both sides because I do not think these guys understand that they cannot win in court. No one is going to win in court because the courts are always going to say, go back and solve your own problems. And to mention a similar case, you remember the AFM case. We mentioned the Apostolic Faith Mission in Zimbabwe case. It's almost a similar case where these guys went to court and the court is reluctant to make a proper ruling. So they almost always try to make you go back and negotiate. And this is what the MDC Alliance and MDCT guys don't seem to understand. I also want to show you that yesterday during the press conference, which was held by one of the spokespeople there, and that is Thokozani Kupe spokesperson. I think he's now the MDCT deputy spokesperson. That is Karipani Pugeni. He says that the extraordinary Congress has been moved. It's no longer at the end of July. So initially it was supposed to be end of June. That deadline was missed. End of July. That deadline was missed. Now they've moved this extraordinary Congress to September. That is between, I think that is between the 4th and the 6th of September. So between 4 and 6 September, that's when they're going to have that extraordinary Congress. The issue here is, do they have enough delegates? Do they have a quorum? And is this process going to be legal? So the extraordinary Congress, is it going to be a legal extraordinary Congress? That is an important question. And I do not think they're going to have a legal extraordinary Congress, especially given that there's coronavirus. And this is where I say these guys need to negotiate. And someone needs to come and tell these guys, both sides, that you're not going to win. The Supreme Court ruling, the MDC Alliance of Nelson Chamisa, is not recognizing it in public. But they know that there is no way they can pass around that Supreme Court ruling. So what these guys need to do, both sides, is to come together, talk and negotiate. I know there are a lot of people that have been trying to come up with a solution behind the scenes negotiation. That is the only way. Probably the best case scenario is where everyone goes to Congress and they agree to give Nelson Chamisa the presidency and Thokozani Kupe keeps the vice presidents for now until the end of the extraordinary Congress. So both sides come together, all these court cases fall away, and then in December, when the proper Congress is to be held, there is one MDC Congress, everyone competes against the other. The problem we have is, how do you accommodate Tendai Biti? How do you accommodate Washman Ngube, how do you accommodate the new people who have came into the MDC alliance, people that have been supporting Nelson Chamisa? The fighting has been too much. Is it possible to bring all these people together? So this would definitely need a mediator. And at the moment, both sides have taken a hard line. There's no one who wants to lose. Everybody wants to support. The one side says we support the constitution. The one side says we support Nelson Chamisa. It's not a healthy situation. And sadly, this situation, and as I conclude, is going to benefit ZANU-PF. There is no way the MDC alliance, MDC-T, is going to be as strong as they were in 2018. Even Nelson Chamisa, if he was contest now, and he contests separately from the party that we know as MDC Alliance or MDC-T, he's not going to get as big numbers as he got in 2018, because people want to see him uniting people. They want to see him managing his party well. There's always going to be the question of, is he legitimate? Is he a person that is not going to follow the constitution? There are people who are voters who really think about these things. So for Nelson Chamisa, even if he thinks he's the legitimate person, even if he thinks if ZANU-PF is working against him, it's important for him to show leadership. And at the moment, I don't think Nelson Chamisa is showing leadership. He's sitting back. He's not taking the initiative. He's not pushing for negotiations. He's letting the people under him do all the dirty work. And he's not showing his face. He has not shown strong leadership during this crisis. And the same goes for Thokozani Kupe. I don't think she's shown strong leadership. She has not pushed for negotiations, because this is the only way out. You cannot expect the courts to continue to adjudicate and give you power. And at the same time, you cannot also sit back and say the courts are wrong. So both sides need to take action. And at the moment, it's not there. So the significant development is that presentation of the constitution by the MDC Alliance to the High Court. I think it will be a game changer, because once the court case is heard, the judge has to give reasons for his decision. And it's very, very interesting what we're going to hear as these court cases are heard. Right, thank you very much for watching. If you're watching this on WhatsApp, send it to as many people as possible. If you're watching this on YouTube and Facebook, please like, comment, and share.